Previous two generations didn't have diabetes. It's only now that it's become more rampant. In Ayurveda, you give a medicine within 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, your flu will just go or your fever will just go. That's how fast Ayurveda is.
So let's go a little bit deeper into, say, diabetes. Like, what is the protocol? Or because people want to know, there's so many people who want to know what should they do, and should they come here to your clinic, and how should they work at it?
So in fact, at this moment, we have a few diabetes patients. In fact, one of them has a diabetic foot where he has a gaping hole in his foot, and it can obviously turn into gangrene. It can get maggots, etc., which we all are aware of. That's easily treatable in Ayurveda. You don't have to chop off your leg. So anyone who's probably going through something like that can come to us. We can sort it for them. They don't need to chop off their legs. Ayurveda clearly mentions madhumeha or diabetes. There are 14 types of diabetes. In allopathy, it only considers 2 types of diabetes, or sometimes even 3 in some cases. But Ayurveda says there are 14 types of diabetes. And out of these 14 types of diabetes, only 2 types are incurable. The rest 12 types of diabetes are completely curable and reversible. Now that can, the reason for getting diabetes today is essentially lifestyle and diet. But Karan, I would like to mention here, the Indian subcontinent or the South Asia, if you see, and Africa are prone to diabetes. In fact, all the British colonies are prone to diabetes because we've all seen famine, for years together. Our ancestors have seen famine for years together. And when a generation sees famine, epigenetically, their DNA alters. And what does it do? That even with so much amount of food, it stores it. So when they pass on this same gene to the next, or the same epigenome to the next generation, so even if there is so much of food, your body has still not got that signal that it should not store so much of food. And that's exactly what's the problem with the entire British colony, if you see, across the world, whether it's Africa, whether it's India, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Myanmar, Thailand, all these countries they are predisposed to diabetes. And reason being what? Because we've faced years and years of famine. But that apart, our previous 2 generations didn't have diabetes. It's only now that it's become more rampant. Although I would like to say that India is not a diabetes capital, and it is wrongly been said, India is certainly not the diabetes capital of the world. But in fact, it comes in the top 10 or 15, but it's not the number 1. In fact, in cancer, we are not among the top 50 as well. Okay, it's actually the West which is more predominantly prone towards diabetes and cancers now. So coming back to what people about diabetes is that some things have been shifted in the last 30 or 40 years. I believe in the 70s or in the 50s or 60s, even if you had 180, it was not considered as diabetes. Now even 120, people think that you're diabetic, or okay, you're on the borderline or whatever. So I don't think most of the people are even diabetic today who are considered to be diabetic. So that's something which is, a lot of people are on the borderline, and then they start taking medication which they shouldn't be. Instead, they should come to Ayurveda and improve their metabolism, and just go back after 3 months or 4 months and just be normal human beings with a perfect metabolism, and they are non-diabetic. Let's not forget that the boat analogy which I said, that unless you know the root cause of a disease, you cannot sort it. So in Ayurveda, when a patient comes to us for cancer, we tell them why they have got the cancer. So once we know that, then it's much easier for us. First of all, you stop the leak, you plug the leak, and then you detox them, remove everything, you build their immune system, build their tissues, and then start big. But of course, you don't have so much time, so you have to be very quick with all of this. So that's why I say that, first thing is you come to us. If you want to do an allopathic system, you can certainly go to them, but you go for a while and then come back again. Because let's not forget that our body, as a natural system does not recognize anything chemical. Now, what are these side effects? Every allopathic medicine you take or every chemical that you ingest creates a side effect in your body. What is that side effect? It's basically imbalance of mRNA, rRNA and tRNA, which is causing in the long run a certain kind of imbalance in the RNAs or vata, pitta and kapha, causing another disease. Like for example, in diabetes, you start with one pill and then move on to insulin and then move on to dialysis. Yeah, it's nothing but the same pill has done nothing to you. It's just kept your blood shows that there is no sugar, but actually it's still causing you serious ailments and serious diseases beyond that. Because once you start taking insulin and then you go on to your dialysis, there is no end to how bad the diabetes.
So what do you do? Do you give them like are there pills? What's the
no, it can be pills, it can be kadhas, that is fresh herbs. We believe in authentic Ayurveda, which was practiced 500 or 1000 years ago. So we say that we will give you exactly that, which is like we'll make a lifestyle change, of course, we'll give a diet change as well, but we will give you pills, we will give you churnams, which we give which have to be taken along with ghee or with honey or with amla juice or with amla murabba or whatever it is, or with several other vehicles that are there, or even with milk for that matter. Because what Ayurveda says is it's not just about the herb, it's also about where the herb should be going and how it should be moving towards that certain place. Like it has to go to a hormone, a place meaning your endocrine system. So then for endocrine system, we normally give it with milk. Okay. If it is for your brain, we normally give it with ghee. Yeah. If it is for your lungs, we normally give it with honey. So there are various kinds of vehicles of this same herb which will take the herb, the gunadharma of each herb is of a certain way by which it acts on certain kinds of cells in your body. It doesn't act on the other cells in your body. Yeah, that's how it works.
And how long is this treatment? You said within 2 to 3 months, a person can be healed.
Well, it depends. Like if a person has diabetes just now, like if he's just got it, he's just been detected, within 2-3 months or 4 months, the person can be easily reversed of the diabetes. If it's cancer, we normally take 6 to 8 months. Yeah. We've had several cases of cancer or diabetes which were reversed. And then, of course, there are autoimmunes. Autoimmunes actually take much longer. It's strange, but autoimmunes take longer. Like psoriasis can take up to 2 years sometimes. And they think that Ayurveda is slow. If I say that if a person has pain in cancer or pain, the vat can be reduced in a matter of just 2 or 3 days. Okay, so the pain can actually go in just a few days. People have no idea that people think, if you have flu for that matter, if you take a certain medication, like a paracetamol, you will still have the flu for the next 4 days or 3 days. In Ayurveda, you give a medicine within 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, your flu will just go or your fever will just go. So it's a complete misconception that Ayurveda is slow. The reason why people say it is slow is because allopathy is not about reversing a disease. It's about maintenance of a disease. You will not feel it, okay? But inside the disease is still there. But Ayurveda is about reversing everything, whatever is inside you, whether it's pain or the disease inside you, to reverse all of that. And it does take a few more days extra, a few weeks extra maybe. Because reversal of what you've done for the last 20 years in just 10 days is something, I would call it as a big feat. So when we tell a cancer patient, we say that if they come with certain kinds of symptoms, we tell them that these symptoms within 21 days will reduce and you'll start to see improvements. Yeah, so I would say that's pretty fast, right? That's one. The other myth about Ayurveda that they talk about is heavy metals. Everyone who comes to us talks about heavy metals. Now, people need to understand 95% of Ayurvedic medicines is herbs. Okay, it's only 5% which is metals, as we call it, gold or silver or lead or arsenic or mercury, etc. Now, even homeopathy uses arsenic. Yeah, There is more arsenic in rice than there is in our medicine. There is more mercury in fish than there is in our medicine. There is heavy metals in nature, for that matter. Yeah, we are born, a newborn baby has a certain amount of ppm levels of gold in them, without which we don't survive. We need that gold in us. So this whole misconception that people, the industry, I would say, has brought in about and started talking about heavy metals, which is causing these problems in human beings, that is rubbish. One is that all these metals that are used are actually burnt 1,000 times or more. When you burn a metal, it's not in that form, it's actually in a compound form. So it does not get absorbed by the body. It only acts as a vehicle and then it moves out of the body. So these metals that are used as vehicles and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. These are nanotechnology medicines, and that is something which allopathy is not able to actually, in fact, they're trying to move towards nanotechnology. All our medicines can cross the blood-brain barrier. All our medicines can move into the cells of human, like if this is a cell of a human being and there's a cell membrane, any chemical cannot penetrate inside this cell membrane easily. So most of the allopathic, in fact 90% of the 99% of the allopathic medicines do not cross the blood-brain barrier, and they cannot enter cell walls of human beings. But our medicines can enter into the cell walls, can detox the mitochondrion and can come out. Okay, so it's highly advanced scientific methodology of, I would say, which has been going on since 10,000 years. And it has been, after the colonization of India, it was stopped, it was bad-mouthed, and it's still going on, sadly, for that matter. I feel that it's probably time that we get Ayurveda back into mainstream and actually show people the capabilities of Ayurveda and how it can keep you disease-free for life.
Actually, the problem of Ayurveda, which I have found, is that the West asks for clinical trials and control group clinical trials in which placebo-based, non-placebo-based, which we have not done in Ayurveda, and we have not done that.
Okay, I think number one, first we need to understand that if you try to tell Ayurveda to be fitted into this evidence-based medicine, then that's like putting an elephant into a matchbox. Okay. Number one, in allopathic system, they have a single molecule which they check with regards to different trials, and it's a certain sample size. Okay. Number one, Ayurveda says you can never extrapolate. Because if there are 8 billion people on the planet, there are 8 billion protocols. No two human beings can ever have the same immune system. They can never have the same tissue health. They can never have the same mRNA system. Okay? So you can never say that this is one medicine which can treat lung cancer. You can't. Because when we have 10 patients coming with lung cancer, it can be because of smoking, it can be because of grief, it can be because of asbestosis, it can be because of living in a construction site, it can be because of several other reasons. Yeah, it can be because of very thick blood, because of which the oxygen content in the blood is very poor, but then the lungs are not able to perform better. So there are several reasons why a person can get lung cancer. So you cannot say that this is one medicine or one molecule that can really solve this disease. That is the second point. Now the third point, Karan, I would really request everyone to actually ask themselves, have they ever seen a single evidence-based research paper? They haven't. Have you ever seen a research paper of any paracetamol? You have never seen that. Have you ever seen the research paper of the COVID vaccine that you've taken? You haven't, but you've still taken it. Yeah. Evidence-based is,
In fact, the COVID vaccine is not even Western-based medicine is asking them to go through 4 phases of clinical trials, which the COVID vaccine never went through
No.
the 4 phases of clinical.
It wasn't. It takes 10 years to actually approve a vaccine. This was done in a very short time. It was done in 10 months maybe. So that's all rubbish actually, as a matter of fact. So evidence-based is something which, in fact, I tell people that evidence-based concept itself is wrong. Yeah, as a system itself is wrong, because evidence-based medication is extrapolated, it's based on a single molecule, and it's not really, it doesn't, and this peer reviewed, etc., it doesn't give you the real picture, never gives you the real picture. In fact, now that's exactly the reason why allopathic medicines are moving towards a different system called epigenetics. They have to go to epigenetics if they really want to save humans. People talk about heavy metals, but do they question that there are 7 million deaths every year across the earth? Is that because of heavy metals? No, it's because of hospitals and because of people going and doing surgeries and wrong medications and wrong diagnosis, etc. No one talks about it. People need to really question that system. That if there are so many millions of people dying, I think we should give the link below as well, where I always talk about this, where 2.5 million people die each year in Europe because of hospitalization, wrong diagnosis, side effects of medicines, side effects of surgeries, all of this. In US alone, it's 200,000 people. Imagine how many die in India. Yeah. So this actually has to be available to human beings for them to understand that Ayurveda is far benign, far better in terms of a medical system, more scientific, and something which can save you. But then in case it doesn't, then you go ahead and chop off your organ. Why do you want to chop off your organ right away? Yeah.
In fact, a lot of doctors just say, oh, it doesn't matter. For instance, gallbladder, they just remove
Exactly.
the gallbladder. But then Ayurveda has actually found that there is actually use of many of these
Yes,
organs.
absolutely.
There is no useless
There is nothing,
organ
yes,
in the human body.
absolutely right. There is no organ in human beings that is useless, including the appendix. The appendix actually stores your gut bacteria. Yeah, so people who do not have an appendix land up getting all kinds of gut bacteria, gut-related issues later in life. People who've removed their gallbladder have some kind of serious trouble with their liver and some kind of cancers later on in their life. People who've removed another organ, like other organs, like, there are some other organs which are removed in human beings, can have serious side effects, serious health issues later on. Chopping off an organ, Ayurveda actually says that surgery is the last resort that a Vaidya should be doing. By the way, surgeries were done in Ayurveda as well. In fact, many of Sushruta's tools are still being used today. Rhinoplasty emerged from Sushruta's rhinoplasty methodologies are still used. There was different kinds of surgeries done even during Ayurvedic times, but they said that only some of the worst doctors perform surgeries. The best doctors just give you medicines and reverse your diseases.
But for people who are listening to this, if they have had their appendix removed, they have had their gallbladder removed, what can Ayurveda help them in keeping their balance, since now it has been removed? So
Yes.
What can be
Yes,
done?
if you've removed your appendix, if you've removed your gallbladder, please come to us. We can certainly help, because a gallbladder is the place where pitta is normally stored, and it also controls, like, in case you don't eat food or something, then there's excess of pitta released in your body, and that pushes back into the gallbladder. Now, if you've removed the gallbladder, then it stays in your body and it just moves around, and it's your blood which is affected after a point in time. So we can detox your blood, we can remove the excessive pitta in your body. If there is appendix removed, then your gut can still be healthier. We can make it healthy. That's not a problem at all. So any kind of organ it has been removed, we can at least keep you in homeostasis with a certain lifestyle, diet, and a little bit of medication here and there.
So we talked a lot about the myths of Ayurveda. I hope people will hear this and realize that a lot of the things that they have heard on social media or by people are actually, you can say, wrong or
Right.
mythical, and they can look at Ayurveda as a scientific method of health, a scientific method of cure, and it's not something which is just, something unscientific.
In fact, I think we were talking about the herbs thing. People think Ayurveda is just about herbs and spices. It's not. That's like, 3% or 5% of Ayurveda formulations. If you see, there are some of our formulations have 50 odd herbs in them. So some of our formulations have even 100 herbs in them. If you see, Chawanprash has so many types of herbs in them. So it has been researched. It has been used for 10,000 years. It works perfectly fine, and it's absolutely accurate. Now, the other kind of myth people talk about is not being scientific. That's because a lot of people aren't aware that the Vedas is all about quantum physics. So Ayurveda is also about quantum physics. In fact, the whole concept of epigenetics is based on the quantum mechanics principles. Yeah, I have connected the whole concept of how the universe is made, how it functions, how it starts from a black hole and then moves towards, your DNA, and how an organism is formed. In fact, we've been fooled all these years about how, our evolution itself. And it's surprising for me that, allopathy talks about DNA as being a chemical. How can human beings be made of a chemical? It's something natural. DNA is it forms naturally. Okay, it's from nature. It cannot be a chemical. So that's something which I would love to argue with any kind of scientific person. If they come to me and discuss with me, I'm open to discussion and I'm open to an argument.
So we have stirred quite a few hornet's nests with our videos and with our comments. A lot of people have loved us. A lot of people have
hated us
and argued with us. But I think everybody can come back and express their views and, talk to, Siddharth is very active on even LinkedIn. Samskrt is there, and, so come and understand the science, because very few people are actually
aware
explaining one of the things which we kind of messed up was poor marketing and explaining of the science.
I agree.
So we've all been, doing it very softly and silently, while the allopathy has done road shows around the world.
I think it's also to do with the Indian mindset. The Indian mindset is about modesty. It's about being, we always do namaste, we do pranam, we do, the Vedic culture teaches us to be more modest and not to market things too much and overtly. So I think that's also one of the reasons. Secondly, it's the British who came and actually stopped practice of Ayurveda for 200 years. So there was a gap there. And I think our previous government really did nothing much for Ayurveda. Thankfully, in the last 15, 20 years, I see a revival of Ayurveda, which is great, because we are actually sitting on a golden egg where we can heal the world. Forget about healing India. We can actually heal the world. We can actually take Ayurveda global and say that this can be the first line of treatment for any kind of disease, be it an emergency, be it chronic, be it a serious lifestyle disease.
Great. So it should be the first line of treatment and for any disease, and probably allopathy could be the second line of treatment.
I agree.
And we can reverse it. And I'm sure this episode is again going to stir a lot of comments. But thank you so much. And we look forward to more such podcasts and more awareness for Ayurveda into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.